I want to talk about the power of not giving a fuck. At the root of all suffering is attachment. And what is attachment? Attachment just means you care. Like, do you realize, like, if you didn't give a fuck about nothing, like, it would be impossible for you to suffer. It would be impossible. If you were on a job and, boss threatened to fire you and you didn't give a fuck, that threat wouldn't even bother you. Right? If you were in a relationship and the person you were in a relationship cheated on you and you didn't give a fuck, it wouldn't even bother you. Like, you think about like all the shit that comes with giving a fuck. All the attachment to that. You experience, dark energies like depression, anxiety, stress, frustration, disappointment, anger, fear. These are all associated with your attachment to whatever or whoever. It's all because you care too much. And what you're attached to is your underlying expectations. When you say you're in a relationship and the person you're in a relationship cheats on you, what you're really suffering is disappointment because your expectations, like you were let down, your expectations of the relationship weren't upheld. Your expectations of this person weren't upheld. They failed you. It's more about your expectations than what they did. Like, ultimately, it's not even about what they did. It all comes down to your expectations, your attachment to your expectations. You can have expectations and not be attached to them. But the more you're attached to your expectations, the more you care, the more you give a fuck. And if those expectations are ever disappointed, then you experience energies like depression, anger, rage, anxiety, frustration, all the things I mentioned earlier. The only way you can really have peace is to not give a fuck. There's no other way. And what does it mean exactly? Like, when I say to not give a fuck, like, what exactly do I mean by that? What I mean by that is you don't give a fuck about your expectations being fulfilled or not fulfilled. You have expectations, but you don't have attachment to them. Meaning, basically the attitude is, if it goes the way I want it to go, great. And if it don't, great. I don't give a fuck. I don't give a fuck if it goes the way I want it to go. And how are you able to even arrive, at this level of understanding or awareness or perception or perspective or understanding? I had to search, so I got to the right one. So how are you able to come to this level of understanding, this level of detachment, to where you're able to say, I would love for it to go this way. It would be great if it went like this, but I don't care if it don't go like that. However it go, I'm fine with it. You get there. This is the only way I know of getting there. And again, it's through truth. Like, truth is the only answer for every single problem. There is no answer outside of truth. Truth is the answer. Whatever the problem is, truth is the answer. So in this scenario, truth would have you to know that it's arrogant to have expectations and to attach to those expectations, because you're not the shot caller of your life. Right? Like, you didn't create yourself. You didn't decide whether you would be male or female. You didn't decide your ethnicity. You didn't decide where you would be born. You didn't decide how tall you would be, or, like what your height would be. You didn't decide what you would be good at doing. You didn't decide what you would love, what you would be passionate about. You didn't decide none of this. You don't decide your destiny, your purpose, your reason for being here, your very existence. You had absolutely nothing to do with. So, what makes you think you can even have expectations? That's not the way life works. Life is not about expectation. It's about alignment. It's about getting in alignment with the divine purpose or reason for your existence. And doing that every day, because every day you're here for a reason. Every day you have a purpose, and not when I'm saying but it's not singular. Every day there are reasons why you're here. Every day that you're here. Every day there are purposes that you're here to fulfill. Every single day. You don't determine that. You don't get to just decide what that's going to be. And if you live like that, then you will always, find yourself disappointed, frustrated, angry, pissed off. It will be impossible for you to experience anything else, because you don't have that type of authority, and it's arrogant for you to think you do. In regards to relationships, for example, people come into our lives, and there's a reason. And there's purpose. And they're only in our lives for a season. Nothing in this world is permanent. Everything in this life is temporary. And we don't get to say when shit comes to an end. And so, like, in our arrogance, we attempt to call shots that we can't call. This is really like, man, there's a lot to this. But anytime you focus on the surface level, you're going to be deceived. You know, like when, say, you're in a relationship with somebody and you fall out, you have an argument, whatever, you fall out, you split up, you break up, it's over. Whatever the argument was, whatever the falling out was about, that wasn't what was really going on. That was just a means to a predestined end. All that really mean is your time with this person was up. And so whatever it was you fell out over, it was just a means to a divine end. It ain't even about the argument or the falling out. It was just my time with this person was up. That's really what's going on. So if you're able to look beneath the surface level and go deeper, dig deeper, everything happens as it's supposed to happen. And we're in a world full of illusion. Like nothing that you see with your physical eyes, nothing that you understand with what we call the mind is real. Nothing. None of it's real. It's all an illusion. And so understanding these things, it will cause you to just be less and less attached to, because you realize you're not running shit. Like you're not calling shots. Like you don't get to choose your destiny or your fate or like nothing. It's all been pre-written. It's like a script in a movie. And we're all a part of this movie, but we just didn't get the script. But we're all fulfilling our roles as they've been written out for us to fulfill. We're all characters in this movie. You know, and an actor doesn't get to go into the movie and tell the writer of the movie how his character is going to be. You don't get that. You don't have that type of authority. You're going to be the character that the writer wrote you to be. And that's what it is. So the more you understand this, the less you detach from your expectations, the less you give a fuck. There's a, see if I can remember this. I don't know. It's a phrase. It goes something about, you know, why worry about things that you can't change? Like if you can't change something, then why worry? And if you can change it, then why worry? Right? We're under the illusion that we actually control some shit in this life. And the deeper you dig, the more you realize that there's very, very little that you control, if anything. Like, the deeper you go, now I'm not going to go that deep on this video, but I'm just saying, the deeper you dig, the more truth you become aware of. The more you realize that you control much less than you thought you did. And ultimately, if you go, like, you'll realize you don't control anything at all. And then you'll realize that you are not even real. It's all an illusion. Everything. So, I understand, like, this ain't my show. This ain't my movie. I'm just a character. I didn't write the script. I don't get to change the script. Like, understanding this is like, then why do I give a fuck then about anything? And again, by that, I'm talking more about just being attached to your expectations. Instead of being attached, just get in alignment. Fall in line. Get in line with the divine program. Honestly, there's no effort required to do that. There's nothing you have to do but just trust that everything is going according to divine plan. Because whether you trust that or not, it is. But if you trust that, you'll live you'll have a much more peaceful existence. You'll be happier, And if you don't trust that, your experience will be much more stressful, and you'll live in fear a lot more, and you'll be depressed a lot more. It's going to go the way it's supposed to go. It's going to be what it's supposed to be. But I kind of hesitate to say this, but if you have any control at all, it would be over how you experience your existence. But it's going to go how it's going to go. And the more you trust, the more peace you have, the happier you will be. So, yeah, that was pretty good. And I hope it made sense to you. I feel like I didn't say enough, but at the same time, I feel like I did. So I'm going to wrap this up here again. I hope that made sense to you. I hope you understood it. I hope I explained that well. And let me know what you think.